Welcome back to another episode of the Sit Down Talk. My name is Kier.
And I'm Noémie.
And we welcome you. Clap it up for you for being up in this joint. Click, 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 clap, clap, clap. Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm. If it's your first time here, welcome. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to our space. Welcome to our conversation. However, if you are a group of people that we refer to as repeat offenders, that means you come here often and you deserve hugs. Come on.
Hey, boo. How you doing, love?
That felt good. That was from the heart. Yeah, for sure. Today, we are going to be talking about relationships because that's what we do on the Sit Down Talk.
We always talk about relationships in some way. But
it's something more specific than that. I just posted a video today, actually, and I've been changing my content up on Instagram a lot, and it's just really me mic'd up. I take this camera, I put it somewhere, and I just go about my day. Sometimes I'll talk to the camera, sometimes I don't. I got hours of footage of me doing absolutely nothing and saying nothing. It's not exhilarating to watch, I'll tell you. But when we do catch a dope moment, though, I posted something today, and it was just around showing your partner gratitude. And I didn't think it was real remarkable, but
you never do.
I know it's just my brain doing what it do, but the response has been tremendous, and I thought we both actually thought it'd be a good idea to bring it here to y'all today.
I'm so sorry. I really was trying to pay attention to you, but the scruffy,
I hate it,
salt
man.
and pepper look so fine right now. I was like, oh my God, he grown. I know you hate it, but you look amazing, right? It's effortless.
I don't like hair on my face.
He never did. And anytime you see hair on his face, it's usually because I asked him for it. Remember when it was long when we first started dating?
But it don't connect right here.
Yeah.
It connect right here. I feel like it may connect eventually because every year it creep closer and closer.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's the salt and pepper of it. It's like, I didn't realize how much gray you had until you let your hair grow out, and it's like, wow, I really love. I'm sorry, this ain't why we here. My bad.
I hate having this hair on my face, but I'm too tired to do anything. I'm too tired to go to the barber shop.
This is a struggly.
Damn, I know the word. Why am I struggling?
It's a rough time for us right now, y'all.
Let's move into this conversation.
Don't focus on how we look. Just listen to us. Okay.
Shout out to the audio listeners. All right,
let's set the stage. So we'll go ahead and drop the post right here so you have some context.
You know a phrase I used to say before I got married that I'm not a fan of anymore? Why should I praise you for doing what you're supposed to do? Or why should I praise you for doing the bare minimum? Thank you for doing that is an acknowledgement and a recognition. And I don't care how small the task is, I'm going to say thank you for that. Even if within our understanding, that's the thing that you decided to take ownership of. My wife quit her job to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. And sometimes I got to work crazy hours, and she be having to hold the girls down solo for hours at a time. And even though that's her job, per our agreement, that's her responsibility. Always take the time out to say thank you. And I take the time out to acknowledge that it was hard. Just from counseling couples, people invalidate their partner's experiences all the time. But how hard can it be to all you had to do was stop? And I get it. I'm about to put this back in the jar. And I get it. When we don't feel acknowledged, it's hard to acknowledge other people. It's hard to do for you what I don't feel like you do for me enough. Sometimes people have this attitude of nobody clapped for me, so why should I have to do all that for you? And what they don't recognize is they're perpetuating the same pain that they felt. If she don't eat the sandwich, I'm gonna crash out, dog. I already know. I be pulling in some crazy hours. I work a lot. My wife always acknowledges that. And even when I want to quit, that validation just takes me so far. And for that, I appreciate her.
She actually ate the sandwich, by the way.
She did?
Yeah, she ate
Which
the
one
PB&J.
was it?
I think that one's for.
Because if it was Sid, I know she licked it maybe, but she didn't eat it.
I don't remember which kid that was for.
It's probably Emery.
They've been jumping us lately, so who knows? It might have been E.
Sydney's weird. She doesn't eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She licks
she split it and licks both sides. It's just,
does she ever eat the bread, or she eats the bread?
I watched her eat a banana from the side, and I just felt like a failure as a parent. Like, who does that? Like, why you gotta be like that?
Sydney is the kid that, what is it? You march to the beat of your own drum. Sydney don't care.
It's not even a drum. She just beating the hell out of an upside down bucket.
Yeah, and she don't care. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I know. So like for real, let's get serious. Like, I know that at the time that you were creating the post, like, of course you couldn't have seen that this was happening, but like, out of everything that you posted, that clearly stood out to you. Why did it?
I think it was just on my heart in the moment, because I feel like so much of our relationship would be harder to navigate if we just weren't careful about acknowledging the small things that the other person does.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. Sometimes we do feel like a married couple, but to me, sometimes we feel like co-workers at a shitty part-time job.
Yeah, man.
And
trauma bonding.
Yeah, and we be... Actually, what people say is trauma bonding isn't trauma bonding. That's a different thing. It's common enemy intimacy.
Common enemy intimacy.
Yeah, that's what we're... Oh, 1,000% they're the common enemy.
Okay, we learned something new. Stop using trauma bonding. That's not actually what it means.
Yeah. Men always be like, women be trauma bonding. I was like, that's more common enemy intimacy. I see where you coming from, though.
You the enemy, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah, common enemy intimacy is a problem, but that's for another episode.
Okay, got it.
Damn, we rabbit hole so much I forgot where we at.
What inspired the post?
Oh.
What was it about? What you were talking about, the concept that really stood out for you?
But yeah, I find myself saying thank you for a lot of things that I never thought I would. But I just feel like it needs to be acknowledged. I think me having the advantage of seeing couples in their hardest moments,
that is true.
see the mistakes that people make, and it's like, okay, I don't want that. You know, you do a counseling session for a couple who's been married for 10, 15 years, and you see how just not seeing their partner for so long, like it's nothing in a moment, like doing like this don't. And I'm poking her arm if you can't see.
It already bothers me.
You see what I'm saying? It bothers her now, but if I did this for 20 years,
I'd be like...
It'll be painful. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel painful in the moment, but those small things add up over time. And I don't want that to happen. Resentment is too easy. Resentment is easy, man. It collects fast. It's like dust. Like it just be there all the time. And I think I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. And plus, I appreciate, I don't ever want to watch the kids by myself.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do it, of course. Time out. We got to say this because it's the internet. Noémie be going on vacations. She goes on trips.
She hang out with my girls.
She hang out with her girls all the time. I watch the kids all the time. And it's not like I'm babysitting them, but I'm looking after the kids while we're not both in the house. And it's not a problem. Go do your thing, boo. Live your life. But I don't like to watch them in the house. I like for us to be out. In the house is painful for me. Out the house is painful for her. So
yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I see you doing something that I know would be hard for me, and even though it's not as hard for you, or it's not hard in the same way, I just want to let you know I see you. Thanks, babe. You held the kids down for 2 hours. They were screaming and being crazy. You ordered me lunch too. Thank you, boy. I appreciate that. I don't ever want to take that for granted.
Do you feel like that acknowledgement was something hard for you? I'm trying to. So one of the issues that I always have when we talk about our relationships is that we've lived 10 different relationships in the past 10 years that we've known each other. So sometimes it's hard for me to remember how things were in the beginning because we might be in such a good groove now that like those issues don't matter to me, nor do I see or acknowledge them anymore. But let's just kind of take a step back, because I definitely feel like you and I would have issues about me not being like saying thank you and acknowledging, you know, some of the efforts that you made, mostly because of like my childhood, because things weren't, you know what I mean, a big deal to me. But do you feel like you struggled with saying thank you? I don't remember that far away. I feel like you've pretty much always been good with that. Like, were you conscious of that?
Nah, I think
because you say it like even Emery and Sydney say it all. Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry. Well, I say I'm sorry a lot, and you say thank you all the time.
Yeah. And I purposely don't say I'm sorry all the time. I try to save it for when I actually am. If I say it, I really mean it.
I say it just sorry. You know, like maybe not in acknowledging like in a problem, but like just I feel like as women in the fields that I've been in, like that response is not. I don't want to say encouraged, but I feel like it's unequally kind of placed on us than it is on men, especially in the workplace.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. And for me, it's probably a little bit of like an inverse similar thing, because sometimes you walk into a room, you a tall, dark-skinned dude, people will automatically assume that you have a tone or tenor, or they make assumptions about you before you open your mouth. And I like to show people like I do have gratitude for these things. When I go to a restaurant, I say, hey, thank you. And somebody bring me the bill, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Somebody bring the food, thank you. I don't take for granted anything anybody does. My motto is nobody don't have to do shit for anybody. You're supposed to treat me with kindness. No, I'm not. I don't have to be kind to you. kindness is not a given. I do not think kindness is a given in this world. I don't think that you're not entitled to kindness. I think if someone does show you kindness, that's a beautiful gesture that deserves acknowledgement. I don't know if you've ever been fishing, but the ocean is terrifying. There's no kindness in the ocean. I be hunting in the woods, man. The foxes be tearing them squirrels up. There's no kindness out there. So if it's coming my way, I want to go out of my way to show appreciation for it, no matter how small it is. You don't owe me anything. Maybe I got an entitlement thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I hate entitlement.
Because I'm like, I don't know that I feel that strongly about it. And even like when you said like no one's entitled to kindness, I just find that that's so harsh. You know what I mean? And like maybe that just has something to do with the way that, I was raised, or like just my childhood experiences. Like I do believe that everybody is entitled to kindness, because I don't think that you need to spill your BS over on other people that it doesn't affect. I feel like kindness should be the baseline, but not even to go into a rabbit hole there. I feel like it's different in relationships though. Like I feel like at a restaurant, if you the waiter, I do expect some type of like attention and kindness, but in a relationship, like especially when we're thinking about things that your partner's supposed to do as a parent, as a partner, or whatever, I think that's where it gets kind of tricky.
Hold on, can we rabbit hole on that? Because I think that's a good point. In my mind, there's kindness, which is one extreme. There's being unkind, which is the other extreme. And in the middle, there's just like this, not indifference. What's a positive form of indifference? Kind of like just basic human dignity.
Understood.
That's what I feel like. Everyone's entitled to a level of basic human dignity. I don't have to be kind to you, which is the extreme. And that to me is kindness.
I feel like on this side for me would be the validation and the acknowledgement. Like you gotta be kind, but you don't necessarily have to validate. You got a different scale.
I see why you think the way you think.
But it's also my baseline. Like I feel like in general, like if anybody were to ever meet me in person, usually the first thing that people say is, "Noémie's so nice." Like that is my baseline is just
I thought she was fake when we first met.
I get that.
I thought she was fake. Like, oh, you being so nice, especially
like a Disney
in DC.
character. But that's another thing.
I'm nice in DC.
I'm not from here. DC is a totally different baseline.
DC, Boston, and New York.
But
man,
you know what?
Jersey
isn't that nice either. But like I genuinely feel like that's just who I am. I've always been that person. I've been told that I'm too nice my entire life. Like from my family, from my friends, but like that's just who I am. Like that's my baseline, and I'm okay with that. But I don't hold that standard to everybody. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily expect everyone to be as kind as I am, but I do expect to be respected.
So your other point was the kindness in a relationship. You are entitled to kindness in a relationship. I agree with that.
Yeah. Like, why are we in a relationship if it's that hard for you to even be kind to me?
You can't be kind.
I'm out, yo. I'm out.
But you know what though? Some dudes like their women a little mean.
Yeah, that is true. I've heard
some
that before.
dudes like their women a little mean, and I think
a little condescending, a little petty.
I can't stand those qualities.
Don't do that to me.
And when you come to me because that's what the other dudes like, and you do that, I'm real harsh. I cut off real fast.
I always say, talk to me nice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nice.
I ain't gonna
the
let
world
you talk
is ugly
to
enough.
me
I don't want
crazy.
that shit at home. All right.
That's real rap. What are we doing here? No judgment. No judgment. No judgment. Lord judgment. Just a little bit.
Okay, so then how, going back to the relationships, because we've gone on too many rabbit holes, but it's just like, how do we get here in relationships? Because just looking at the comments, this is clearly a thing in relationships. So like, how did we get to this place? Like, I'm not thanking you for what you're supposed to be doing. Like, where does that come from?
Oh,
because it's so common. I'm sure
it
comes from people's like super personal experiences, but it's a big enough concept that so many people relate to that clearly there's some generality there, right?
Yeah, I think it has to come from somewhere.
I'm asking your therapist brain, by the way.
Oh, that's a better question for a sociologist. I'm not sure. If I had to guess,
I'm actually a sociologist.
I'm about to say that's probably a better question for you. I think.
Okay, let's think about it. Let's talk through it.
I think I got a little hypothesis or whatnot. I think that just with the diffusion of the internet and us being able to read the thoughts, views, and opinions of millions of people right at our fingertips, which I don't think the brain was ever designed to do. I think that people find communities of thought and things become popular. Like, look at even the way we talk. Remember when everybody in the country used to talk a different way or have different slang? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, and it's different
now. Everybody talks the same.
Because of the internet.
Because of the internet.
Because of TikTok.
Like, look at even like the rhetorical things, like, I'm no better than a man, or
she ate that.
She ate down. Like, everyone talks the same way now because we're all getting influenced by the same like 100 trains of thought. Yeah. So I think just like that'll work on something like you ate down or period poo or whatever.
Oh yeah.
If it works like that for sayings, it can work like that for attitudes and mindsets. And I think that people are exhausted by people. I think that both men and women are exhausted with each other in the constant magnification of the things they dislike in the other side, and just like internalizing things that sometimes have nothing to do with you, but you take it as an offense and you're drawing from your personal experiences. I think that all those messages have made people build up a wall to say, this is what I just will not tolerate. And because of that, it sets, well, because we're also like in 2024 and everything is so
25.
Damn, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Everything is so big and grand. I think people baseline their expectations a little high sometimes. So what's a good example? Because I feel like I'm not hitting home with my words.
Yeah, let's make it personal.
So in my family, all the gatherings, the women cook. I don't know what the men do. They don't really. They just kind of, they show up. It's not a lot of them, but they just kind of show up and eat. You know what I'm saying? They'll clean stuff off and move tables around. Some of them don't really do nothing. If I saw my baseline as women are supposed to be in the kitchen cooking at events, and I say, and then when you're here, and since my baseline is women are supposed to cook, and you're cooking and you're doing all these things, and I see it as that's what you're supposed to do, and I don't say thank you. You know what I'm saying? I don't acknowledge it. I don't acknowledge all the effort because I think that's just in your wheelhouse of duties. I think that's like the problematic piece of it all.
Yeah.
I expect you to do that. Therefore, when you do that, you met my expectation. That's what was supposed to happen. There's no reason for me to give you anything extra. You're supposed to do that again and again and again. That's your job. What you think? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I think what I'm noticing is like, I just can't relate to this. And I think I'm really trying to, but I can't relate to not feeling validated and acknowledged at this point in our relationship.
I mean,
and I think that's,
yeah.
And I'm trying. I'm really trying to.
But I go above and beyond.
Right. Which is why I said I can't relate. Like, I'm trying to find a connection to this.
Think about the people you know who don't feel validated in their lives and in their experiences and all the stuff that they do.
Can I tell you why this is hard? I have an amazing circle to where I can't speak for my friends and the people I know and their like marriages specifically or where they're coming from, but we do a lot of acknowledging and validating and making sure that we all feel supported. It goes back to what you said before in the post. It was like, nobody clapped for me, so why should I clap for you? And I just feel like it's deeper than that. It's not about the other person if you feel that way. It's about you not feeling acknowledged. And a lot of that times, I think it's about people not feeling comfortable to speak up and saying, hey, this is something that's really difficult for me. I would like it if you acknowledge that. And I think expecting the other person,
I can see that.
you know, expecting the other person to understand why this particular instance is so important to you without context, like that's just a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for failure. So I guess going back from that question, why is it that people don't feel that they are worthy of validation and acknowledgement? Because that's really what it comes from.
Man, there's so many answers here. I mean, I think one side, maybe people don't think they're worthy of validation and acknowledgement. I think on the other side, they may have a partner who's reluctant to give them validation and acknowledgement. I was on the podcast with Dr. Becky. We were talking about that with kids. Like, why do people feel like validation is dangerous? And I said, I think people don't want to, one, make that other person soft or like destroy whatever resilience they have by clapping for them at every opportune moment. Yeah, I know.
That's so against everything that I stand for, and it makes it I feel my body getting tense even just thinking about that.
That's the way a lot of people work. And it's, I mean, we also from a generation, I don't know if your parents were like this. Well, you shared that they've been like this before in some ways.
Oh, they never acknowledged me.
Yeah, like
the validation
the
and
80s
acknowledgement.
babies, man, why should I acknowledge you for something you supposed supposed to be doing was a mantra.
Yeah, I hear
you,
I'm
you
proud
want
of
a
you
cookie?
from other people. Yeah.
You want a cookie?
You
Like,
want a
yeah,
biscuit?
chocolate chip. Love those. Give me 3 of them, please.
Maybe that's why I'm so against that, is because hey, people respond to things differently. Because I didn't get that acknowledgement and validation. I mean, I did get it, but it was usually from somebody else telling me how proud my mom was of me. You know what I mean? Or what my dad told them about me. Never said to me directly. And I think because that affected me so much, I don't know, let me know if I'm wrong, but I feel like I've done a good job of saying, hey, I need to be acknowledged here.
Nah, you are who I learned. Yeah,
let's
the
give
person,
some context. Yeah.
You the person that I learned that from. So Noémie does a really good job of saying, hey, I really need, like, I'm feeling low right now. My confidence ain't super high, and I need some words of encouragement. I need you to tell me I'm doing a good job, and I think I need a hug. I never heard anybody put on a menu exactly what they need to feel better. But I think this also goes to answer the question you asked me, like, how we get here is because I think a lot of people feel like that's a dumb thing to advocate for.
Yeah.
Or you're being childish, or you're being needy by asking for those things. I got one of my homeboys, my man Dio. Dio be like, hey guys, I'm a little self-conscious about this. I'm gonna need some extra claps right now. And Dio was like, he's a dude.
Yeah,
you know, he's
tall too,
a Nigerian
yeah.
dude. And I really learned that from him. Bro will ask from the bros what he needs, and I was like, damn, that's so smart. So I stole that. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant way. My mind doesn't naturally work like that by itself. I feel like that's dumb and childish to ask for something. I'm not supposed to expect that. I'm supposed to just do it and not really require that out of anybody, but be excited when and if it happens.
Yeah, or be mad when nobody acknowledges it. And
Silently mad too.
Oh my God,
not outwardly mad.
No, that's real. That's real. But even going back to, like, yes, people think that it's like asking for that is so dumb, so simple, so childish. Like, I think that that's probably the most, like, the best way to show vulnerability in any relationship, in a friendship, in a romantic relationship.
Just ask for the things you need.
Yeah, not even just ask for the things you need. Admitting when you're feeling low, admitting when you're vulnerable, admitting when you're self-conscious, admitting that something is hard for you, admitting that you need a little bit more acknowledgement somewhere. And yes, that is hard. That is really hard. I would not be able to do that with you if you didn't feel safe.
God dang, that's the point I was about to hit on. Yeah. I think you need a partner that you feel safe to do that with.
Yep.
And while we're talking about kindness being a requisite of a relationship, I think another requisite of a relationship is I need you to actually see me as a whole person. Not
just what I can do for you.
Not what I can do for you. Not this manifestation that you've been asking God for. Not this notch on the pole between you and like this checklist of what validates your adulthood or your manhood or your womanhood, because we all do it. I think you need to see me as a person first. Don't even see me as a man, dog. See me as a person first. Like, I just need you to see my humanity. However, that's not a skill that every relationship is going to be able to demonstrate great strength in the beginning. So
especially if that wasn't the catalyst to y'all getting to where y'all are now. And that's why I said you're peeling back the layers, because a lot of these questions can't be answered if you don't have that trust, that vulnerability, that honesty, that openness. Like, it's starting wrong already. Well, maybe not starting wrong, but it's starting hard.
Starting off hard.
Yeah, and it's like you can't answer that question. Like, you can't get there without safety.
So what does, real talk, because safety is a triggering word for me.
Is.
Because I find that some people will do this thing when they'll say something that's rude or off-putting, and then when you address them,
I don't feel safe now.
Like, you don't get to do that. You know, you can't hide behind victimization when you're the aggressor sometimes. You got to acknowledge the thing that you did before you can crouch into the warmth of victimization. So wait a minute. Wait just 1 second and let's talk about this.
Let's pause real quick. If your mind just exploded right now and this was a lot, please tell me how you're feeling in the comments, because all I saw was
I don't hear what anybody else hears.
I know, but he just be spitting. I'm like, wait, whoa.
But I just see the gaps in between the way that people like see things and the way that things are actually playing out in front of them. And it's not that their feelings or their perspective isn't valid. It's just that it's incredibly distorted. And when you're experiencing things in real time, you're not going to be able to zoom out enough to see it that way. And that's not an indictment on you as a person. That doesn't mean that you're incapable. It doesn't mean that you're less than. It doesn't mean that you're incompetent. It just means that you're human. And I think that's one of the things you got to embrace before you can even take any of these steps that we talking about. Before you could develop any type of real substantive emotional awareness, you know?
So what does, I mean, we just gonna go into this conversation.
Man, let's go into this conversation.
So like, I feel like you've always been the type of person to be honest about how you feel. And let me tell you what I mean.
No.
Let me tell you what I mean.
All right.
Because you're looking at this from the way that I am. And I just feel like you have always been empowered to like do what feels right for you, like in relationships. Like if it's not working, you're free to like, I'm out, like I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't lock yourself into certain situations. And I feel like for me, it's been different. Like I've definitely been in romantic relationships where I knew it wasn't right, but I still stayed anyway. And I made the best of it, or what I thought would be the best of it. And I wasn't as open. I wasn't as vulnerable. I wasn't as outspoken about things that bothered me or hurt me or things that I just didn't like in general. And I can honestly say that like you were the first, like who you know me as, I haven't been for anybody else. Like you literally got the best of me. Like you didn't get the soft spoken, I'm unhappy or I found something out and I'm just going to act like I don't know Noémie. You don't know that Noémie. So I had to deal with a lot of that BS before I got to you. But I will say that when I met you, it was something about you that always felt safe. And I'm trying to figure out
I've heard that. I've been hearing that my whole life.
But I mean, it's just something about you. And that's why I say that you are maybe not as vulnerable. Or, I mean, you're more vulnerable now. Like, you weren't as vulnerable then, but you were very confident about what worked for you and what didn't work for you. You weren't about to, like, be in a situation that wasn't beneficial to you.
That's the part. That's what I don't understand.
No, go ahead. No, it's okay.
That's because of the baseline of how I look at love. First, I'm going to let y'all in on something. This is vulnerability. I don't do this. But I have challenges around avoiding attachment. Big time. So to me, love isn't something I aspire to ever. Love is something that if it made sense, I fall into, but I didn't aspire to love anybody or to know someone deeply or to be deeply known. I care about that now because of this one, but like globally, I still don't care about any of those things. That's true. So the idea that I need to have love like this in my life never had a gun to my head and forced me to be in a situation that didn't feel right. Now, the inverse of that is I think I ended a couple of those relationships very badly, man. I didn't handle those. I didn't do it well. I was like, oh, this ain't working. It's time to end. You don't do that to people. And I did that more than once. And I regret it to this day. You know, I think about it sometimes. I wish I would have handled that differently. Definitely glad I'm not in a relationship. Glad
just for clarity.
Just to be clear, I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it ended, but I'm not proud of the way that I ended it. So yeah, I can't see that. I can't see me being in a situation where I'm not happy or where I feel all these negative feelings towards somebody and I push through. But now that I'm married and got kids and a house and all these bills, and if something happens between me and you, it's not just like we go our separate ways. Like stuff gonna be messed up real bad. I think I care about that more now, you know. But yeah, before, like, why would you be in a relationship with somebody, and this ain't judgment, if this is you?
Because I got an answer for you.
It's not judgment. Why would you be, and I know the answer, I'm just saying, why would you be in a relationship with someone who doesn't like you and who you don't like?
Familiarity.
Yeah.
You know, not wanting to start over.
Yeah.
Not thinking that it's worse out there.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Not having examples of positive relationships. Am I looking for a unicorn? You know what I mean? Like, I remember growing up, like, you don't get married for love. And it's like, but I love love. I want to be in love.
I want a piece of that too.
And I think a lot of those mindsets are why I stayed. Because it's just like, well, you know, this is just a season. I mean, people stay for various reasons. But I just say all of that to say that there was something definitely different about you the longer I mean, I don't know if you were like that in the first year. I don't remember. But there was something about you that just felt safe. It felt like I can share my insecurities with you without you throwing it back in my face.
Man, I think I know what it is.
What is it?
I think that people will almost always do the wrong thing with power and autonomy. You give people power, you give people autonomy, they'll do the wrong thing 9 times out of 10. That's just the way I feel.
No, I agree.
You can argue with me in the comments if you want. I'm not changing my mind. Just look at the news. It'll tell you everything you need
Especially
to know.
now,
Man, it's getting crazy, and it's going to get crazier. But I've always felt powerful. I've always felt like a powerful person. Yeah, I've always felt powerful just in my own mind and body. So when I get power or I get autonomy, I never felt a need to take advantage of it. You know, and man, I remember, quick story. My mom told me this when I was little, man. In the cafeteria in elementary school, the tables who, like, they'd play a game or something, and the tables who won would get a prize. And my mom used to tell the story about one day, I think I was in the 1st grade, and my table won a prize, but I think we might have cheated. I don't know. I think we might have cheated. And my mom was like, "Aren't you happy?" And I was like, "Nah, because I feel like we didn't deserve it."
Oh,
yeah,
you've always been that.
I've always been that way. So I'm very much I'm the same person with one person in the room that I am with a million people in the room that I am with nobody in the room. And I think that helps.
In fact, a unicorn.
I'm not a unicorn. Yeah. I'm not a unicorn. Maybe I'm a unicorn in this particular way, but there's tons of unicorns out there. I'm not that special.
Well, this is the thing. Just because there are other unicorns out there doesn't mean you're not a unicorn.
I'm one of them glimmery ones.
I'm just saying
fart
you're a unicorn
rainbows.
too. Not even that. Not even that.
Why can't I fart rainbows?
Because you don't. I'm the person who knows you best in the entire world.
Not too much.
See, but you took it. I said you're a unicorn. I said you're a unicorn. You said no, I'm not. And then you said you're a unicorn.
All right, I'm a unicorn. I'm a unicorn.
You're a unicorn. You are, and that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. And I think you being a unicorn has definitely helped me get to a place of security and just confidence. Like, I feel like I've always been like a pretty confident person, but I was that person that, like I said, didn't really get much acknowledgement. So like hearing you acknowledge me and hearing you, you know, congratulate me for even small things, like going back to the post and you're like, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and like in my mind it's like, oh, whatever, like I'm supposed to do these things, I'm supposed to, you know, whatever. But just acknowledging like how hard the day-to-day is.
It's hard.
It's hard enough just being a stay-at-home mom, let's just be honest. But then going from like a pretty lucrative career to where, you know, I had titles, I had you know, raises, I had these meetings where they told me I was awesome and all of these things, and it's just
end of the year reviews, where they never give you 5 stars.
That's not true.
You got 5?
I was a star
at my job. They never gave you 5 because they gave you 5, they had to pay you more, so everybody got 4.
Aside from the couple of microaggressions that I've experienced, that I've spoken about,
crazy work,
I was a star employee,
for sure, you know. And it's like I kind of expected to carry on that title into motherhood. Oh man, for real? I did. It's dumb, I know. I know. I don't think it's like, dumb. It's just surprising me that you, I think it's just the first time that I've said it out loud. I've never been in a situation academically where, like, if I worked hard, I got some type of like acknowledgement for something. About this before, and it's just like, in mother, who won't? Sydney, you seen the girl? Stop Sydney being like, weird. You're my bestie. What? You see me? Yeah, apparently don't give you receipts that you're doing a good job. Man, and I don't know. Like, it's just been a really hard transition, guys. But you've been really, really helpful in that. You've been really, really helpful in that. So thank you. I want my marriage to work, man. I want my marriage to work too. And man, it don't take much from me to acknowledge that, you know. It don't take much to say, dang, that look hard for you. It's sometimes some things I don't think they wouldn't be hard for me to do, but that don't mean it's not hard for you. I have very recently gotten on this train because I admittedly was one of those people like, it's not that hard. Just do blue to blue to blue to blue.
And he'd be like, my brain don't work that way.
My brain,
yes, it does.
My brain.
Just do
Yo,
this. I
remember one time at couples counseling, you was talking about like I have really profound issues with organization. Not as much as I used to. I'm way better, but still, like organization is just hard for my brain. I've mentioned it here a million times.
And I'm the organization queen. I wrote the book on organization.
And I remember one time in couples counseling, and she said something about organization, and then like the therapist was really organized too. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you just got to learn to be more organized. And that made me so enraged. It's like, if I could, I would. I don't like people oversimplifying things just because it's really simple to them. But yeah, you've grown in that area a lot, because they'd be like, oh, all you got to do is boop, boop, boop. All right, dog. But
I ain't even see it.
What people don't know is when you do things like that, you become an unsafe person to be around. And it's not unsafe like you're dangerous. It's unsafe like you're not safe. It doesn't make me feel good to be around you and be vulnerable, knowing that me showing you that side would just easily get bulldozed because you're only seeing your perspective in the way that you meet the world. You don't really see the way that I'm meeting the world and all the challenges that I'm undertaking because of that. And that's not unique to us. Like, that happens to everybody all the time in every relationship, parent-child, friend relationships, romantic relationships, co-worker relationships. It happens all the time. I just don't always have the patience to not, to stick through it. But with you, it was worth it.
What made me feel safe? Because clearly I wasn't safe
when you stopped doing that.
I don't even remember when that happened.
I don't know. I don't want to get too deep, but I also feel like
what you mean? This whole thing is deep.
Your mind, like maybe about 3 years ago, your mind just started like expanding in this different way. You used to be a very like, the way I see the world is the way the world is.
That is true.
Used to be that way, and then like you started meeting more people.
I saw more of the world,
and you just got introduced to more trains of thought, and then you slowly started backing off of that, and now you're not like that at all. You're like, hey, that what's good for you is good for you. I got a different brain.
I made a complete change.
Yeah,
I even see it like things just don't bother me anymore, like they used to. They just don't.
Like what?
I didn't mean to.
Nah, you good. Like what?
like for example, one of the things that would frustrate me in the beginning of the relationship was like, you know how I say like you just don't be seeing messes, and you just it used to bother me so much. It's just like I thought, and we've talked about this in a sit down talk before, where I just thought like, I care about it. Why can't you just care about it for me? You know what I mean? Like, if you care about me, like, why can't you just make this a priority for me?
If then.
And then also just like this magical thing, like you think people just see because you ask them to see and they've never seen that before in their life. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And I think like once I stopped taking it personally, because that's really where it came down from. It's like, if you cared about me, you would. And once I realized like it wasn't personal, I also got to know you better. I know more about how you grew up. I knew more about, how you handle stress. Like, I know when you're like, there's certain qualities about you, certain things that you do that really magnify themselves when you're stressed. And a lot of the times it's mess. You know what I mean? Maybe not dirtiness, but it's definitely like, he's shooting. He has to wear 5 different outfits. He's not going to fold them back up right now in between the shot lists because he has to submit this in 2 hours. Like, that's not going to happen. And then when he's done, he has to edit. Then he has to send it. He realized he didn't eat. Them clothes are still on the bed. And before I'd be like, if he really loved me, he would. Whereas now it's like, it will take him out of his routine. It will completely mess up the flow of his day for him to stop and do that for me when it'll take me 2 seconds to do it. And I think that's kind of like the mindset that I've adopted in our relationship. Instead of like, if he could, he would. If I can, I'll just do it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that's
that a little bit.
Man, that's like my philosophy in our relationship. And I've used that in my family. I've used that with my friendships. I don't know how helpful it would be for everybody, but it's freed me from the stress. I will tell you that.
I think that's very challenging for a lot of people. Let's assuming that our relationship is on some unicorn stuff.
Okay.
Let's hand that to people in a way that they can digest it, because a lot of folks aren't. Because the reason you can do that is because I give enough on the other side where you don't feel like you're doing all the work. That's not present in most people's relationships.
Well, let me just clarify. There are some instances where I do feel like I'm doing all the work, and I like with the kids. You know what I mean? Even though, like, of course, like I go out with my girlfriends and I, whatever, I have my alone time, but I don't have much alone time. You know what I mean? I have to make time for that. I have to plan time out for that. And usually on those days where I have the time to go hang out with my girlfriends, I'm tired. I'm taking something, like I'm taking away sleep. You know what I mean? I'm taking away an event. I am overexerting myself for the hope that this will give me the self-care that I need. So there are definitely parts of my life where I do feel like I'm doing too much, but it's not because you could and you should. It's because we're in a season of our life where you're doing a little bit too much when it comes to work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at it like you have the space to take things off of my plate. I kind of look at it like it is what it is. And I think I just want to clarify that, because, like, yeah, we're unicorns in the way that we address each other, but I don't know that we're unicorns as much as, like, our effort. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. The only thing about effort is that in one relationship, even though effort is one singular push, it's defined two different ways by two different people. So how I perceive my effort versus how you perceive my effort may be completely different. But no, I don't disagree with you. No matter how much effort you put forth, if your partner doesn't see it, acknowledge it, validate it, appreciate it, then after a while, I don't know how sustainable it would be for you to continue to put that effort forth.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, I want to give you guys something practical, something to take away from, but I also don't want it to be that all of the pressure goes on your partner to do or not do something. There has to be a happy medium. And I think in order to get acknowledgement from your partner of how hard, like, your efforts are, you have to do the same for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think,
I say
like,
that in the content. It's hard for me to do for you what I don't feel like you do for me enough. Or what I feel like the world hasn't done for me enough. Right.
But, like, going back to what you said, and I think I actually agree with you now in the beginning, he said, like, you're not owed certain things just for the purpose of wanting them. And I think here, like, there were definitely moments in our relationship. Yeah, there were definitely moments in the relationship where I felt like things were too heavy for me. I could bring them to you and I can express them to you, but the heaviness didn't change. Like, and it's not because you didn't care, you just couldn't. Sometimes, like, yes, you might want a lot of more help with the kids if you're a stay-at-home mom. You want to be able, for when your partner comes home, you can just give
push
the kids,
push
them. But sometimes that's not the case. Like, on Mondays, I know, like, because you have clients and you have your meeting, and like, even though I get home at 4 and I am ready to pass off the kids, we don't have a nanny and he's not out till 5. And that hour on Mondays is always the hardest hour of the week for me. I hate you during that hour.
Yeah,
I hate you. I hear you laughing.
Oh, that sucks.
When you in your when you're in your like your book meetings and you're having like a good time and laughing, and like I'm over here wiping butts and like I be pissed. I be mad. I be jealous. I feel all of those things. But I think, like, for me, I just kind of allow myself to feel that in a moment. Like, it just kind of is what it is. But it's just something about your response when you come back. You know what I mean? Sometimes you be like, babe, I know I'm supposed to take the kids right now, but I need like another hour. You know what I mean? Just like I have to be okay with the fact that, like, shit's gonna be ghetto for me sometimes. Like, it's parenthood. No, I don't think anybody has it easy. And I think in certain instances, things might feel like they're easier for the other person. But, like, if I go off on him because I am upset and jealous because I don't have maybe the freedom to do the hobbies that I want to do, or maybe, like, I'm sick and tired of smelling butt all day, you know what I mean? Just like different things.
Endless cheek smells, man.
Yo, and they don't smell good no more after some time. After about 4 or 5, maybe like 8 months.
Oh, okay.
After 8 months, when the poop start changing and they start eating real food, it's just wild. Yeah. But anyway, I think at that moment I have to acknowledge that, like, me being upset isn't because he's not doing enough or whatever. It's a me thing, you know what I mean? And I think that's where the happy medium comes from. Like, half of it is maybe your partner could be doing a little bit more acknowledgement or meeting you where you are, understanding where you are. But we also have to acknowledge where our stuff kind of fuels a lot of those negative emotions. Ooh, not saying that it just has to be both.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong.
It's hard to hear.
I think it is hard to hear, but I think it's hard for people to execute.
But if this is what you want, this is the price that it costs.
I think emotional intelligence is on a spectrum, and it's a vast spectrum.
Yeah.
And I don't think we really pay enough homage to how wide it is from the lowest point to like the highest point, and that we fall in different places on that scale in different places in our lives. Your emotional intelligence in your romantic relationship may not mirror your emotional intelligence as a toddler parent, which is way different than your emotional intelligence as a teenage parent. It's different. A teenager's parent, rather. Teenage parent is different. That's 15 with a baby. That's a tough break.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But yeah, I feel like
It's tough,
how
right?
can I say this? Yeah, because there's a lot going on.
Why don't you say it and then clean it up?
Because folks be in relationships with people who really don't care. Like they don't care, or they've given up on the relationship, but they don't have the courage to say let's uncouple because either it's too much to lose or they don't know how to not be together anymore. So I get that part too. I'm trying to say something that's general enough to be helpful but specific enough not to be like,
can I offer something?
Yeah,
and
please.
then you take what works and throw away what doesn't. I like to think about things in practical examples. Like, I'm not, and this is no shade to you or anybody, like, I'm not a professional speaker. Like, I like to speak, but it's
how
like,
would that be shade to me?
well, where I'm about to go.
Okay.
And it's just like, I'm not somebody that really enjoys, like, I wouldn't read a self-help book to like practice it. You know what I mean? It would be more of a, how can I apply these to my practical life? So like with this, I would look at like, what's something practical that you can do to see if you're even in a place to take this next step in your relationship? And like, what would be helpful for me would be like, write down the things you want to be acknowledged for, but make your partner do the same thing. Like, you can't do this on an island. You can't do this by yourself. You can have all the best intentions, but if you don't have the climate in your relationship for this to actually work, it's not going to work. It's going to feel like it's going to be a waste of time, and you may feel even more invalidated than you do now. And I think starting with hey, is there anything that you like me to notice or thank you more for? And just starting with that conversation and then hearing those things. And you said this in one of the many viral videos that you had, was
Not many.
like, talk about it or pose the question, but talk about it later. You know what I mean? Give yourself time to think about, like, you know, maybe there was something that happened last week, and instead of going off on your partner, this is a perfect opportunity for you to just bring it up. Like, instead of saying, you know, you made me pick up the kids every single day last week, and you told me you was going to, versus like, I really like it when you realize that things are really heavy for me and you offer to pick up the kids. Like, tone and how you say things matter. And I think those are basically addressing the same need, but going to your partner in a different way that doesn't feel combative, that doesn't feel aggressive, that doesn't put them in a position to be defensive. I mean, they could be defensive anyway, but I think it's a much easier way to kind of bring that up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And if you are in a place where you don't feel like you can not be combative, or if you hear that you're combative and you don't pick up on that, that's not the way that you feel, you don't see that in yourself as it's happening, that's okay. I think that before you get to a step of saying, like, this is what I need from my partner, this is what I need from you, partner, I think it'd be a really good idea to go internal and start thinking about what you want to hear versus how you want to feel. Because sometimes you can say, well, I want you to do these things, but it's not going to really change the way that you feel. And I'll tell you, when someone hears that I need you to do these things in order for me to feel this way, and then they do it and there's no change in your behavior, it's going to cause tension in your relationship.
Because now you're vulnerable. You didn't get what you wanted.
It's
and
like,
now you feel some type of way.
And now it's like, man, and on the other side, it feels like now it's never enough. It's never enough. You said this is what you wanted, and now I'm doing it, and you still have an attitude. You still feel overwhelmed, and now I'm starting to feel hopeless. That's a dynamic that I see a lot of the time. So, like, really, really think about how you would like to feel before you think about what you want them to do. There's this thing all the time when we're working with people who have issues with, like, forgiveness, or something bad has happened between you and another person, and you want that acknowledgement, and you really, not fiending, but this is the thing that is really a blockage between you and some real healing. Like, I need them to say sorry and acknowledge the thing. I need them to do it. And then when they do it, you realize that you don't feel better. And you've been spending all these years just cycling in your mind, they better apologize, they better do this thing, they better give me the recognition. 10 years later, they do it, and it doesn't change anything in the way that you feel. That is a deflating feeling. Mm-hmm. So in order to prevent that in this little relational scenario we talking about, take some time and think, how do I want to feel? Do I want to feel seen? Nah, seen, that sounds too whimsical. That's stupid. I don't want to feel seen. I want to feel appreciated. I feel appreciated for what? Do I want to feel appreciated for what I do in the house? Do I want to feel appreciated for who I am? Do I want to feel appreciated for how I change? The answer might be all of those things, but that's a lot to require somebody to give you at once. Gotta. I think a good thought pattern is, perhaps I'm asking for too much. I think it's okay to think that sometimes. Perhaps I'm asking for too much out of this person right now. But think about how you want to feel. And I think that's a really good start to putting your thoughts on paper, or just getting your thoughts somewhere outside of your mind, seeing them maybe somewhere, reading them, reflecting on them, and then it gives you a better compass in which to walk towards. Because how am I gonna help you if you don't really know how you need help? And you're the person that's experiencing the big emotions. I can't figure it out for both you and me. So I think that's some of the work we gotta do ourselves. Sometimes you just tell them like, babe, you've been working real hard lately. Thank you so much. I remember you grabbed Sydney one time, and you had Emery and Sydney. Y'all hugged me at the same time. I was like, thank you for the house. And I don't even see it as this is a house I built for y'all. I see it as a thing we got together. But you're like, thank you for this house. Sometimes you be like, babe, thank you for this life. Like, it could be, it's not perfect, but I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you. And like the world, I get validated by the world all the time, and it matters. I appreciate it. But like a billion of those don't matter as much as just one of those words from you.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it means so much. So when you, like, it's hard. Like, sometimes I do want to quit, man. Really talk to a content creator. Like, you think you want to do this? Go follow Raven Elise's podcast.
Oh my god,
she keeps it a bill, knowing that my efforts and the things that I do in the office with the door locked and things that touch so many parts of our lives, that you don't see it as, oh, you the man, you supposed to be doing this. That's just it gives me a little bit of extra pep in my step, and it helps me push through. And sometimes I want to say, man, all this shit.
I know we talked about like invisible loads and everything like that, but for, you know, people who are the primary breadwinners of the family, especially stereotypically men and husbands, like, people don't talk enough about like that pressure. They think that just because you're at work and you're not dealing with the kids, that like you're not doing, not that you're not doing anything, but like making the money isn't as hard as rearing the kids.
Man, one time I came back from a speaking engagement, and for some reason, every time I speak, I'm dog tired after.
People out talked out all the
man, because afterwards I meet with everybody. I stay there until the last person leave. I'm shaking hands, I'm talking to folks, I'm hearing life stories. Like, it's a whole thing. And you were like, and I came home and you ain't even shoved the kids in my face. You said, babe, go spend some alone time. I know you tired. Man, well, you know how easy it could be for you. But I've been with these kids all weekend. You ain't do nothing but you on the plane, then you went to some speaking event, then you came back. You didn't do, like,
you got to sleep last night.
Oh man, you acknowledge the fact that my work is work. Man, I appreciate that.
Thank you for saying that.
That means a lot, man. That means I don't think
man.
You understand how much that means. If it was the other way, I didn't know
how much it meant to you, but I will continue to do that.
It means the world to me, man. Yes. What about you?
For me, well, let me speak to that really quick. I think that I really noticed being at home, like ever since I quit, and like Kier and I we're together a lot without the kids while the kids are at school. We may not necessarily communicate, but like I have a very clear view of what your day-to-day looks like. I also handle his calendar, so I actually know everything that he's doing. I know when everything is due. I know how long the meetings are. We used to take notes for, like, I know everything that's going on. And even though those are things that excite me and that I kind of like wish I was doing, I can't imagine doing that and the responsibility of making sure the mortgage is paid and the responsibility of making sure that tuition payment is there and making sure, like, just the money conversation alone would stress me the F out. So I think that me kind of being home and seeing it firsthand and seeing how it affects you, like I can visibly see how it's different, like especially when I'm so happy and it's like I have my dream, like I don't have to work, I don't have to do those things. And when you see those two very different emotional responses to the same thing, like you can't help but notice it. You can't help but notice the shifts. But I do notice, like, when we do little special things for you, how much, better you feel. Or when I do kind of go out of my way to make sure that you have time, how much better that makes you feel. And selfishly, I do that for us too. Because when he gets that alone time, when he gets that breathing room, when he gets that freedom, he comes back tenfold for us. I feel like it's cyclical. Like that's why I do it. I see the benefit of doing it, but it also took time. You know what I mean? It took time. It took you actually saying those things out loud. I've never heard you express it the way that you have now, but you have said, things to the tune of that, which is why I do it. And I think, like, for me, the moments that I really feel validated and important in a relationship is that stay-at-home mom conversation. I've had many conversations with people asking me, it's just like, oh, you don't have to be a lawyer anymore. Your life must be so easy. What do you do? Just drive the kids to school? And like, oh my God, that's the most invalidating,
that's crazy,
comment. What I'm doing now is 10 times harder than the bar, 10 times harder than law school, 10 times harder than working in the classroom. I used to be an elementary school teacher. Those kids go home. They go home and I hop in my car and I go to happy hour with my friends, and I don't got to think about them anymore until the next morning, especially if your lesson plan is already done. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't carry over in the same way. As a stay-at-home mom, there are no on and off hours. It's not like I clock in. When I clock in, when I hear mommy,
that's how Sydney wakes up,
mommy, every day. It really just depends on, she goes to both. Whoever doesn't come fast enough, she goes on to the next parent.
Daddy.
But I am, to this day, our kids will walk past Kier and ask me for, like, I could wake up at noon, come downstairs and we'd be like, mommy, can I have a snack? Your father is right there.
I've been up with you since 6:30
a.m.
Like, what are we talking about?
Why are you even speaking to me?
It's crazy.
Like, why are you even
It's the craziest work
me?
Of all time.
And like, people don't always look at stay-at-home moms, especially moms whose kids are at school. They're like, what are you doing all day? As a job. And it's like, Kier will always be like, nah, babe, like, take some time. And it's like, but you went to sleep. You woke up at 6:30 a.m. with me. Like, you're probably more tired because you have a meeting at noon. But he kind of looks at it like, I might have this meeting at noon, but she's going to be with these kids all day. So this 30 minutes, this hour, this 2 hours, this break that she can get is worth it. And it's so helpful to have somebody who recognizes those things, even though it's not the same. The kids aren't the same with you as they are with me. You can chill with them on the couch and watch a movie. I have never chilled on the couch and watched a movie with the kids.
Nah, they don't do that for me. That was one time. Okay. Yeah.
But
either
way,
you caught us in a good moment.
Either way, like, it's still different. It's very different.
Yeah.
I can't multitask with the kids. I can't, like, it has to be 100% attention with them all the time. And I just feel like it's different expectations with them. And just you acknowledging that, you not competing with that, because technically you stay at home too. You know what I mean? You stay at home too. I do content as well. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of leaning into a lot of like the same kinds of roles, but that unspoken acknowledgement of both of us needing a break. It's not even the work that we do, it's the deserving of rest. And I think that's the key. That's the biggest thank you that you've given me, that has meant the most to me in our relationship. The biggest thing is the rest. Because sometimes I'll be in my room, I'll be up and I hear the kids, I hear the commotion, and sometimes I have to stop, or I'll leave and he'll be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? Go back to the room. They good.
We don't both have to suffer.
We don't both have to suffer.
I'll take this one. Please go. Please go.
I'll take this one. You give me, whenever Kier needs to go. It was one night. You was with the kids all day. You were like, babe, I have to go.
I'm out.
I gotta go.
It was like 2 days in a row. I was done.
Are you good? And I was like,
I took them Bama's to the museum. It was a whole thing. We called public transportation. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But you didn't even say that. He was like, babe, I need a second. And I think that was like 7:00, and I called him around like 11. I was like, hey, you alive? You all right? You don't need to rush home. I just, I haven't heard from you. I had to go.
Couple hours. just want to make sure you good. Did you run away?
Nah, I didn't go out for milk permanently. That's not what happened.
No, but like, why does it have to be that? You know what I mean? Like, why? If you're gone for a couple hours, you're gone for a couple hours. It's fine.
Yeah, I think we built a space where that can be a thing just by saying, all right, this thing may not be hard for me, but it may be hard for you. And I don't like that it's not hard. I mean, I don't like that it's hard for you and that we can't get it done, but I'm gonna give it some space to exist in our relationship without judgment.
Yeah, we can't both be miserable.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. And if we
that's key. We can't both be miserable. That's the tagline. Okay.
It's like an action movie when we both running through the woods and one of us fall and you try to come back from me. I'm like, no, save yourself. You better save yourself and run. Just let me get attacked by the monster. I'll slow him down for a little bit. I'm really interested to know what you all took away from today's conversation. In the comments below, tell me just one little thing you took away. Either an aha moment, something that stuck out to you, something that you disagreed with, something that just rubbed you the wrong way or rubbed you the right way in a very consensual way. Make sure you hit the notification. It's 2025, dog.
You right. You did it right. You
better do it right.
You did it right.
You better do it right. If notification button to know if all of the stuff is stuffs, and also the follow button or whatever that button is on YouTube, because all the social media platforms have too many goddamn terminologies.
Yeah, we gonna put all the links below.
Yeah, so do the thing and then make the thing do the thing so that we can know that you did the thing and the thing could be done. Until next time, y'all be good.